In today's video, I want to talk about what the best type of boxer brief for men is. So I've been testing out a lot of boxer briefs over the past few weeks. We're going to go through the different uses and advantages and disadvantages for all the different popular types. That includes cotton boxer briefs, I got bamboo boxer briefs, as well as the classical ExOfficio boxer briefs that I've been using over the last 6 years or so now. And last but not least, my favorite traveling underwear, which is Merino wool. So at the end of today's video, you will know what kind of boxer briefs you should get for your situation. If this is your first time watching my channel, I'm Thor. I love to make these travel videos and some guides to help you out to travel better, mostly. I also have a lot of videos on different types of, some clothes and packing stuff. I think you'll like it. Anyway, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the odor resistance of the different types of boxer briefs. So let's start at the top with the one with the worst odor resistant. And that's unfortunately cotton boxer briefs. These types of boxer briefs tend to start smelling after, within a day, I'd say. From my experience, like on average in perhaps summer in Europe, I wouldn't wear these for more than one day before they start to smell. I guess in the winter you could stretch it to 2 days, but even that's a little bit on the edge, especially if you're going to be around other people, I think. Next up we got the bamboo underwear, which is surprisingly odor resistant for what it is. I think you could stretch this upwards of 2 days, but also it's a little bit similar to the cotton in that it may start to smell, especially in the summer times. But yeah, I think you could stretch this upwards of 2 days, especially from my experiences. Maybe even 3 if you're... Of course, it depends on your activity level. Next, we got the ExOfficio boxer briefs. Now, these are surprisingly odor resistant. And the company that makes them actually brag that you could get away with wearing only 2 pairs of these, so that you would wear one and wash the other one. And you can wear them for a couple of days. But in my experience, I would say that, especially after testing them now over the last few days, after about 2 days, they do start to smell a little. I wouldn't stretch this much more than perhaps top 3 days. After that, you're on your own, okay? Don't blame me then. Of course, the best boxer briefs to wear when it comes to odor resistance is hands down the wool. This is Merino wool. You can wear this for surprisingly long. I don't really want to tell you how long I've worn this without them starting to smell. Of course, after a while, they will start to smell a little. So I've worn them almost a week. At that point you can start to smell them a little bit, so that's the point where you need to change them. Of course, it depends a lot on the climate. Here in Norway, Norwegian summer, yes, you can wear them upwards of a week. TMI. But, you know, usually you can wear them for 1 or 2 days. That's when I usually wash them if I'm out traveling with these. So these win this round. Okay, on to the next round. The next thing I want to talk about is the absorption and generally how sweaty do these types of underwear get. So again, let's start with the loser of the round, which is unfortunately again the cotton underwear. So cotton underwear usually gets pretty sweaty, especially in the summer times. If we wear these outside for a day, they will be very soggy. I'm sure most of you are very familiar with the way that cotton gets sweaty outside. On second place we have, again, bamboo. Bamboo is surprisingly similar to the cotton underwear. I thought it would be better. It does not really absorb as much of the moisture, but it kind of feels similar in that at the end of the day you kind of want to throw them off, and yeah. Next up we got the good old ExOfficio underwear. Now these underwear, they're pretty damn, as it's a synthetic fabric, they kind of wick the odor away, so usually they won't get very uncomfortable and soggy. I would say that these are one of the better ones, especially if you're going out for a hike or if you're going running or something. This type of ExOfficio underwear is excellent. It's quite moisture wicking, I guess. And finally we have the Good old merino wool again. And I do think that these absorb most sweat of all the different types of underwear. However, they don't feel like they have absorbed as much sweat as like the cotton do. They're surprisingly comfortable to wear. At the end of the day, I don't really feel uncomfortable, even if I've sweated as much as if I wore the cotton underwear. So if you're looking for something that absorbs a lot of sweat in the heat, or yeah, then go for these. Otherwise, I would say go for the ExOfficio if you're looking for something that's very odor wicking. They also have some other sports brands, but I haven't added them to this comparison, as I think there are so many other drawbacks that I didn't feel they measured up to these 4 types of underwear. So next up, let's have a look at the fit of the underwear. So of course, since all of us are very differently shaped and all the underwear that you find have different designs, your mileage might vary compared to me on this exact point, but I want to go over it anyway so that you can get kind of an indication. So let's start off again with surprisingly the winner of this round is the good old cotton underwear. The cotton underwear, it doesn't dry up very much throughout the day, especially not the more expensive kind. Sometimes I've found that the cheap cotton underwear tends to ride up your leg a little bit throughout the day. But the mid-range and expensive cotton underwear does not tend to ride up. Also, the shape of the cotton underwear is really nice. I'm not going to model it for you, so you'll just have to imagine. I'm sure you know what cotton underwear looks like. It's shaped really well. Overall, great look. The cotton underwear is the one I would wear if I wanted to show it off to somebody. Next up, we have the bamboo underwear. Now the bamboo underwear is an interesting one because at the beginning of the day the bamboo does tend to look pretty nice. As you can see, the shape on it isn't as nice as that of the cotton underwear. And this especially starts to show throughout the day as the fabric tends to stretch out a little bit. So this is in a much lower league than the cotton underwear. Also, since it kind of starts to like loosen up a little bit down here in the legs throughout the day, these do ride up a little bit. So unfortunately, bamboo is not that nice when it comes to fit, and it also rides up your legs a little bit. On the positive side, it looks decently well. If you're gonna walk around in your underwear, it's definitely not the worst one to pick, but it's definitely not the best one either. But it's a lot better than the next one, which is the ExOfficio underwear. If you're familiar with this underwear, you probably know that it looks very ugly. Like, it's not a nice type of underwear. Even the fabric in itself, it's just not nice. It's very functional underwear, but it does not look nice at all. It's kind of loose fitting in a way, even though it's correctly sized. Yeah, I don't like it. On the positive side, it does not seem to ride up very much when worn. But yeah, as far as fit goes, it's definitely not nice. Like, I don't feel as supported wearing these as I would the cotton or even the bamboo. So thumbs down on the ExOfficio, unless you're very concerned about the riding up. Of course, there are lots of other positives, but yeah, nope. Lastly, we have the good old merino wool. The merino wool is in many ways similar to the bamboo fabric, in that it looks pretty nice, especially at the beginning of the day. But as you wear it, it also tends to like stretch out a little bit, at least the ones that I have. So it may look nice for the first day, but if you're out traveling and you have to wear this for a second day, it's gonna look ugly. And to be honest, it's gonna look a little bit ugly depending on the brand after the first day as well. It has a similar problem to the bamboo underwear in that it tends to ride up a little. It's not as bad as the bamboo underwear, and it also depends a little bit from brand to brand, but yeah. Overall, I have to give the cotton underwear the definite winner on this test. Followed by the merino wool, then the bamboo, and lastly the ExOfficio, unless you're specifically looking for an athletic underwear. Alright, so next up let's talk a little bit about the price of the various types of fabrics for boxer briefs. So let's start off with the cotton. As you're probably familiar with, cotton briefs are usually pretty reasonably priced, especially the cheaper ones. You can usually get them in like tubes, or you can get the designer brands. You have mid-range brands. For like a mid-range brand, I don't know what you pay, perhaps $10, $15. Of course, depending on the price. If you buy a $30 pair of underwear like this one, it's gonna be a better fit and it's gonna last longer. But yeah, again, it's cotton underwear. Everybody has it. Like if you're gonna use this if you have this and you're going out traveling, it's totally fine to just bring it. Yeah, it's cheap. It's convenient. It's a nice price. And next up we have the bamboo underwear. It's a little bit more expensive than the mid-range cotton, but not by much. Compared to the cheap underwear, I'd say maybe double, maybe triple cheap underwear. Perhaps you'll pay $15 for this. It depends a lot on the brand. But it's also pretty reasonably priced, especially if you're looking for something that's kind of moisture wicking and that you can wear for a few days. I do think that you can get a good value on the bamboo underwear. Now, one of the best values you can find right now is through American Amazon. They have these ExOfficio boxer briefs, and you get 3 of them for about $25. I'm gonna link to this in the description if you're interested. Actually, I'll link to all of them. So if you want to have a look at the different prices in your region. Yeah, it's good value for money. What's nice about the ExOfficio underwear is that they would last forever. I bought this pair in 2013 or early 2014. And they've just lasted. They look pretty damn good. I have a separate review of these in specific if you want to look more into that. But yeah, great value for the money, especially due to the durability of the underwear itself. Then at the furthest, and then lastly we have the expensive one, and that's the Merino wool. It's significantly more expensive than the other ones. Usually Merino wool will set you back at least $20, probably at least 30 for a proper pair, and I've seen them upwards of $40 as well. Merino wool is a very expensive type of underwear. It's kind of luxurious. It's very comfortable. Depending on what you will use it for, it may not be worth the cost for you. If you're a traveler, especially a lightweight traveler, or you like to do hiking, it's something to look into. But for the normal person, it's probably better to go with the ExOfficio underwear or one of the other two, as yeah, it's very expensive. Overall, I'd say you get the best bang for your buck if you buy these ExOfficio when it comes to like all the benefits you get from it, as well as the price, like the overall value, I'd say. Unless, of course, you just want some cheap cotton underwear, then that's obviously cheaper. But if you're really going for value, then ExOfficio is the one to go for, followed by, I'd say, bamboo. As for the durability of the cotton and the bamboo, they also tend to last pretty well. What sucks about the merino wool is that some brands tend to disintegrate a little bit after about a year of wear. I've seen other people complain about this. Personally, I don't notice that much problem with them. But after a couple of months of wear, you will see that they start to get these little nibs sticking out of them. And you can see that it's been worn a bit, but I think this pair is 3 years old at this point. It still holds together nicely. Some of the cheaper brand or the thinner fabric may end up blowing out in the crotch area after a while. So it's definitely not good value for your money, especially since they're so expensive. So it's kind of, you have to weigh up if it's worth it for you. Again, yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Another thing to consider when it comes to merino wool is the ethics of it. Of course, the cotton and bamboo ExOfficio, they don't really have that many disadvantages. I mean, the bamboo underwear is synthetically made, since you can't really wear bamboo, so they use chemicals to treat it. the cotton and the ExOfficio is pretty clean in that aspect, I guess. The Merino wool, you need to look into it. I'll link to the other video as well if you want to check that out. But there's something called mulesing. It's a way that they treat the sheep that produces the wool, the Merino wool. Yeah, you need to look into that so that you can make an informed purchase. The second thing is it's not vegan, obviously. It's made from animal, so that's something to keep in mind. So let's talk a little bit about the washing of the various types of underwear. So as you probably know, it's pretty easy to wash cotton, and bamboo is also pretty easy to wash. You can do it in the sink. I have an entire washing video that you can check out next if you're interested. But when it comes to the ExOfficio boxers, they can be washed like the other ones. They do dry surprisingly fast, and yeah, overall I'd say the ExOfficio boxers, they dry up really quickly. The Merino wool, again, does kind of have a drawback here, as it's kind of not precious, but it's delicate, so that you have to use like special cleaning solutions for wool, and also you have to kind of be a little bit careful with it, especially if you're going to use that towel method. And lastly, before I melt away here in the Norwegian summer, I just want to talk a little bit about the different use cases of the various underwear. So obviously you have the cotton underwear that's very versatile and everybody has it. It can be worn everywhere. There are no real advantages to wearing it other than it looks good, I guess, if you're going on a date or something. But when it comes to these other types of underwear, they do have some special use cases. Like, I think the bamboo one is particularly good for hotter climates, as it tends to resist the heat in some kind of way. Also, since it's so odor resistant and kind of lightweight, it's a great option for the tropics. However, it does not hold the heat in very well, which the Merino wool does. So the Merino wool is kind of it's an excellent option, since it can be worn in the heat as well as the cold. Now the reason that is that in the cold it kind of keeps your heat locked into the pant, as well as the other advantages of the wool. And in the heat, it also it keeps the heat away. I don't know how it does it, but it kind of reflects the heat out, and also since it's so absorbent and odor resistant, it doesn't tend to smell. You would be surprised at how comfortable and nice Merino wool is in the heat. When it comes to like exercise, I would say that the ExOfficio boxer briefs are the best ones. They do tend to wick away the most sweat, as well as they don't ride up the leg very much. Unfortunately, they're very ugly, so that's something to keep in mind when you buy these. Alright, so to learn all the tips you need about how to wash these types of underwear, head over to the next video. Thanks for watching this one. Subscribe if you liked what you see. See you over there.